Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. So I've just come from Stamford Bridge where Chelsea have beaten Tottenham Hotspur 2-0. That is now, we've played Chelsea 4 times this season, 4 defeats, and we have failed to score on every single occasion. But to try and lighten the mood, I've got 3 very special guests to talk about today's game. Let's introduce them. First of all, we've got Richard Cracknell. Crackers, how are you?
Evening, Chris. Evening, Mr. Hartman. Evening, Ramon, and viewers and listeners. Yeah, listen, man, like, when are we going to lay a glove on this mob? Honestly, it's like, it's just, we don't need Conte. We need a shrink. We got to get somebody to get in here and sort us out. So it's just,
Richard,
it's just not good enough.
Not enough. Shrink is not enough, mate.
No, there you go. Listen, I've never kicked
on the players, mate.
I've never kicked a ball in anger. Listen to Mr. Vega tonight, because like, here's a man that's been there and done it. He'll tell you what's needed. He knows more than me. Anyway, Chris, It's your show. Carry on.
Well, we've also got former Tottenham Hotspur player, and of course, trophy. You won a trophy in 1999, Ramon, for Tottenham Hotspur. How are you?
How are you guys? Very well. Yeah, it's a rarity. 99. It's like it was a long time ago. And it's quite embarrassing for a club like that to even talk about it, you know. For me, I'm very proud, of course. I can keep talking about today, but you know what I mean? I would love to talk about the current players or the last 20 years to won something at least, you know. It's embarrassing, I would say, in many ways, but you know, it is what it is, but can't do anything else.
We've also got actor Darren Hart. Darren, how are you?
I'm all right, my friend. I am going to try my best to lighten the mood. It is very, very gloomy in here, and I need to brighten it up. So we're going to try our best, gentlemen. We're going to be real honest, but we're going to try and keep it fresh and funky.
Brilliant. Well, let's get straight into it. Crackers, Chelsea 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. As I said at the start, 4 games against Chelsea. We have failed to score on every single occasion. 4 defeats, so a real quality difference. Very simple question for you. What did you make of tonight's game?
Oh, eat, sleep, rave, repeat. Eat, sleep, rave, repeat, isn't it? It's just copy and paste performances, Chris. This is the problem. First half, there was a glimmer of hope, wasn't there? We looked like we'd sort of gone now not to lose the game and just try and instill a little bit of something to go there and get something from them. And you thought, oh, okay, I can see what we're trying to do here. Set up not to lose, which was just badly undone in the second half. You know, they got on top, and that was that. So you just think to yourself, just go and have a go. Just go and have a go. Like, you know, if a Brighton can go there, so can we. Why can we not go there? Why is there certain teams that can go there and just have a go at them? But our mentality and our egos and our confidence is so fragile. We have to go there first, not to lose, not get on the front foot. And that's a damning indictment of a club of Spurs' side to have to go and do that first. You know, it's listen, all roads lead back to the board, and it's just like we've said before, they've got so much in place there now, starting with the manager. Forget the stadium and the training grounds and everything. That's shiny balls. That doesn't matter to us. You know, like I've always said, if Spurs were playing in the street, we'd watch them from the curb, wouldn't we? So, I mean, all that side of things, that matters not a jot, really, in some respects. It might help to, encourage players that we're looking at to come and play there because they're playing in such great facilities and everything. But this board has now got a manager, the like of which is like, who's way too good for us, way too good for us. And if he goes, his reputation isn't tarnished at all. There's not a club in Europe that's not going to not take him on because he hasn't done well at Spurs. So he walks away and he walks into any other job. That's the difference. He walks into that Man U job tomorrow. You know, there's plenty of clubs around Europe that are taking big, proper Champions League clubs. So back him. we've got a week left now of this window. You get finite windows to back managers, January and summer. I know January is difficult, but it's doable. Back him, please, the club, back him, because we've seen again today that the man needs backing. He needs bodies. He needs some new blood in there and upgrades all over the pitch. So back him, or otherwise don't take him on. Like, what's the point of taking him on if you're not going to do it? You should have given the job to a project manager like Potter. Get Potter in to do it, you know. But if you're going to get Conte, if you're going to buy a Bentley, expect to be having to pay 200 quid to fill it up at the petrol station, you know. If you haven't got 200 quid, go and buy a smart car so that you can put 40 quid on it and run it a week. This is where we are. So all roads lead back to the ball, Chris.
We'll come on to that, certainly. Ramon, let's come to you. What did you make of today's game? And what on earth is it about Stamford Bridge for Tottenham Hotspur? Because, of course, since 1990, we've only won there once. And that was back in 2018 when, of course, Dele Alli got a brace, Christian Eriksen got the other goal. And as I said off air, I'm absolutely sick of going to Stamford Bridge. You know, from a fan's point of view, keep going to this stadium, you know, year after year after year, and keep getting very poor results. What is it about this place?
I think we've got a chink with this club, to be honest with you. Every time we play against them, I think I remember in my time at home, we lost, I think, about 6-1 or something like that. At half time, I scored 1-1. We thought, goodness me, after 25 years, we're going to win against Chelsea the first time, you know. We always had a very, very, very bad score against Chelsea. Doing historically, not just now. It took a long time, already in my time, you know. I don't know what it is with that with against Chelsea. I don't know. I can't really say it, to be honest with you. But at the same time, it's not the question of what it is against Chelsea. The problem today, we could really see the Tottenham Hotspur is not a top 4 club. Simple as that. It's just a regional club from London. Simple as that. Everybody talks a world-class club, yeah, facilities and everything else. But the rest, let's be honest, on a sporting point of view, there's nothing there to show. You know, there are quality players within the squad, but at the same time, we have players that are earning a fortune, can't even go away from the club because they're earning so much money already, and they're sitting on the bench comfortable, can't be bothered actually even put a passion into the club, funny enough. And that's the major problem we have now here at this club. You know, you can't really even rotate. You can't even put some passion into the club because some of the players don't even, my opinion, don't really care. They're just happy with the contract sitting on the bench. If they're on the bench, okay. If they play, they play. Because they're earning a hell of a lot of money at the moment. I think the game has changed massively from obviously my time in terms of passion and loyalty. I think that's also a question came up this season, you know, with Harry Kane at the beginning and so on. You know, lucky enough now he starts to come back. But it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. We can't call Tottenham Hotspurs as a club, as a world-class team, or even close to best Premier League. It's a local North London club. That's it. And it's a shame to actually call it that. And because obviously I played the club and we had bad spells and everything. But one thing we've done, when we're on the pitch, at least with a broken ankle, we won something. We showed some character, you know. And I think the problem is the overall attitude within the club, and that comes from the top down to the bottom, is not right. It doesn't feel right. Even the players are joining new to the club. They don't feel right. They're not feeling even welcome because it's such a cold atmosphere. And you see other teams around up and down the Premier League, and I've been to many of them, and even in Europe, you know, when a new player comes in, you've got somebody to look after him because he's new in the region or new in the country in the centre, and there may be difficulty with the language to adjust. You need to have somebody really kind of like babysitting in a way, but it's a must. Everybody needs that. Everybody, us, if you go abroad, we don't understand the language. You'll be happy that somebody speaks your language and introduce you to the people on the ground so you can integrate into the whole thing, you know? That's not happening at Spurs. I don't see that. It didn't happen when I arrived to Spurs, to be honest with you. I was like a lost soul. Lucky I spoke a little bit English at that time. But at the same time, I was a lost soul there for nearly 6 months. And so what I'm doing here in Essex, you know, kind of, I didn't know where to go, what to do as such. And this is very, very important. That part, I don't see the club doing anything. It's all good to have quality players in a club, but if you don't look after them well, from the mental point of view, psychological point of view, integration point of view into a new country, you just don't go anywhere, because that's part also from a team spirit side point of view. You know, you can have 11 best players in the world, but if they're not feeling well at home, like us, you want to leave. You want to go down to the pub as quick as possible, have a pint, because you want to go away from that atmosphere at home. Let's be honest, that's what it is. This is exactly at the moment at the club. The players they want to be as less as possibly in the training ground, because the atmosphere is not as it is to be in a club. And that has to be changed, one part. Even if we don't buy at the moment, I don't see anything at this window, to be honest with you, because there's too many players on the bench earning a hell of a lot of money. Until these guys not going away, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, Con realised that as well, and he has to manage what he has there.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of points. I'll come back to you on that, Ramon. Darren, let's come to you. What did you make of today's game? Because, of course, it is very disappointing to lose to your London rivals 4 times in one season, 3 times in the last 3 weeks.
It's sickening for us, because as fans, we have to take that with us. We take it into our daily life, our work, our social circles. It's not pretty. It's not pretty right now. And also, after coming off the back of the Leicester game, where we had our 80 seconds of madness that elevated us, that gave us the energy to go through our week. And now our weeks were going to start on the wrong foot. And it's not, we didn't think it was going to be any different. If we're all honest with ourselves, we all were going, it's not going to be our day, because it never is. However, for me, I was really looking at going, why is it not our day? And why is today not the day? And looking at the setup, looking at what Conte tried to do. And like Crack said, why did we not have a go? And then you go, because he can't trust everybody, because he doesn't believe in everybody there. And why doesn't he believe? Because the squad isn't good enough. And now going, how do we make the change? And I think that Leicester game gave the camaraderie of that team. You looked at Bergwijn, he looked like he loved life. Kane looked happy again. We were all happy as fans again. But it was a plaster over a frigging huge crack that we have to remember. And what Conte said in his press conference today was really powerful for me, because he got asked about the transfer window and said he didn't want to talk about it, but had to, because that's where his passion is. He can see the potential that we as fans can see. As Ramon just said, we are now becoming a club that is now in the mix of other clubs, but we want to stick our head above water. We want to stick our head above it and reach back to the top. So if this is the pivotal moment, we have a structure with Paratici there, Conte there. If these are the guys who are meant to be doing the job that they need to do, we've got to give them what they need. It just doesn't make sense. It's exactly as Crack said. We're filling a car up going, I only got a tenner, but I've got a 6 litre. So why get a 6 litre then if you've only got a tenner in your pocket? So now we've got to do the investment, because the fans need it. And that's Conte needs it. And what Conte has done for me is he's gone, I'm here for you fans. I see what it is. I know what you need. And now the board are being put under pressure like that. This is make or break right now. These 9 days are make or break right now, because we can't live these Chelsea nights. We should not be this far away from Chelsea. We're in London rhythm. We've got pulling power. But for me, it was on paper. You looked at their squad and was like, oh my life. Look at their bench. Look at the options they have available to them. We had, if I'm honest, Lucas Moura was our only option off the bench. And he theoretically should have started, but he weren't 100%. But you looked at our bench like, it doesn't cut it. You look at their bench and they're bringing on Kante. He's sitting on their bench because they ain't got space for him. It shows where the gap is. And it's just evident now that if we don't do it now, Man United are hitting a bit of form. Our neighbours, we know what they're doing right now. West Ham look like they're trying to do something. If we let them get away from us, we'll never catch them. Because as everyone said here, we all can feel it, Conte will leave. He'll go out. So it's make or break. It's real make or break.
Darren, for you though, were you disappointed by tonight's performance, or is it just a clear quality difference between these two squads?
It was a bit of both, if I'm honest. The quality difference was there to tell. But I was disappointed because I watched certain players not do their jobs at times, and looking at people in positions that they couldn't manage. And obviously this had been trained. This wasn't new. This wasn't sprung on them at the 11th hour. This was the formation and people playing in these positions. So you got time to work on it. I do worry for Tanganga. I watch a player who has a lot of love for the side and wants to put in a performance, but he hasn't got the headspace for it. He makes the rash decision, and to be fair, he put himself and the defence in a problem because that booking that he got. And you go, come on, you've got to be more sensible than that. You've got to think about what you're doing a little bit more. And I think his rush of bloods at times are going to be problematic. So I looked at that and I was let down because we had moments to go for it. And Chelsea are there. If we have a go at them, they have to react. But what we do as a side is we wait for something to happen and then we react. And we can't be playing football that way because Chelsea were always going to do something. Because when they did it, we can't react. So we're setting ourselves up to fail. And I think that was the disappointment is I saw the team. I even had to write it down because I was trying to work out. I had to message Ricky. I was like, Rick, what formation are we playing? Because I can see so many defenders on here. I don't know who's playing where. And then when I saw the lineup, I was like, okay, he's trying to shut up shop. I get it. But we know we can't shut shop. You look at that back four, and I don't trust the back four. So I knew we was always going to be playing at a disadvantage to us. I wanted us to go for it. I wanted us to give Bert Wine and Kane a chance. Let's really go at them. And if we go at them and we nick one, great. If we don't, then we went at it. We gave the fans to show that we tried. But trying to sit on it for 90 minutes, we know we're Tottenham. What are we ever sitting on for 90 minutes and holding? Nothing. We've never done that. Never in our history. So it doesn't make sense to me to try.
Crackers, let's come to you. Before we talk about the starting lineup today, let's get through a few of the questions. Joey writes here, if the ball do not significantly invest in this side, then nothing will change. 22 years, one trophy, and a lower net spend than Mike Ashley's Newcastle. It's all going to be about the transfer window. Of course, we've got over a week left of the transfer window. We all know as Spurs fans, we've been here before under different managers about if we invest and we sign 1, 2, 3 more players, we can get into the top 4 and we can do this and we can challenge for the title and X, Y, and Z. Do you think that Antonio Conte is going to be backed in the right way?
That remains to be seen. I mean, past history tells you that that's going to be a problem for him. And the biggest problem we've had at the moment is not incomings, it's who we've got there and going to try and get out the door. So you've got Ndembele not even training with the current first team on reportedly £200,000 a week. Dele has sat all the way through today's game on TikTok, putting TikToks out and this and that. He's got to be on 100k a week. So there's 300 grand. Lo Celso, what's he on? He's probably on 100 grand a week, 75 being conservative. So all of a sudden, you've now got 400 grand a week, like with just 3 players alone, doing nothing, adding nothing at all to this squad. No, do you know what I mean? They're not even turning up on match day and sort of being in the dressing room and going, boys, listen, I'm not in the team today, but come on, let's get out there. On the bench, do you know what I mean? Being now amongst that little team of people going, well, it ain't me today, but come on, boys, let's have it. Lo Celso's putting out like all sorts on social media saying, oh, I'm not injured, but I'm not in the team today, and putting out indirect messages and this and that. It's dysfunctional. It's poisonous. You can't have people like this in a squad of players. You've got to be a band of brothers in a football team. You've all got to be there for each other. You've got to die for each other in football teams. That's a squad. That's what comes together. And now you've got like £1.5 million worth of wages sat there a month, doing absolutely jack shit, Chris. They're doing nothing. In fact, they're working against the squad. They're working against the team. They're working against the mentality. So, the club's got a huge problem trying to get those out the door, to get the players in with the right mentality that will be there, that will run through walls. This squad's just so dysfunctional at the moment and so off of it. And like Ramon said, just not feeling part of a family. There's just not that connection between everybody. It's just so, like I said, it's dysfunctional. It's just not right at the moment. It's a huge task to actually weed all that out. I think Conte's come in now and he's gone, you're no good to me. you're no good to me. You're not part of this, what I'm trying to build. So go away. I don't care that you cost 60 million or you're worth 50 million and you're earning this. You're just no good to me. So go away and I'll let the club deal with you, because your contract and your place at this club is down to the board of directors to deal with. I'm dealing with who wants to play for this football team and who wants to be part of it. So, you know, that's all Conte can do. And God bless him for it. Let him carry on. And now either the board shapes up and gets on board with what Conte wants, or Conte walks. It's as simple as that. So, like I said, all roads now lead back to Enoch to assist Conte with getting this squad balance right and getting players in right. Not just good footballers, good club players. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a difference, you know. And Dembele he's a fantastic footballer, but he's not a good club man, is he? You're going to take somebody, at the moment, I'm taking a Harry Winks and a Doherty that have had dog's abuse over somebody like, and Bergwijn as well. Bergwijn's come in, he's got it. He's stepped up, in he's come, and he's trying to give his all. I'm going to take people like that all day long. Lucas, all day long, over somebody like Ndembele. Ndembele can football them off the pitch, all of them, but I'll take 11 of them over 11 of people like Ndembele and Dele Alli at the moment and Lo Celso all day. So this is what the club now needs to address to get everything right and mentalities right, Chris.
Ramon, let's come to you. Of course, as an ex-player, as Crackers mentioned there, Ndombele on around £200,000 a week. Lo Celso, if you added Lo Celso and Ndombele up, it's nearly £100 million, and neither of them were on the pitch today. And as Crackers also said about Dele Alli on TikTok today, rather than watching, you know, the Spurs game and being there supporting the team. You know, from an ex-player's point of view, what do you make of all of this situation? Because Antonio Conte and the club have an awful lot of work to do. And as you said, you know, Spurs are not a top four club right now. There is an awful lot of work to do, isn't there?
Oh, where do you start, Chris? The problem is, where do you start with all of it? The problem is massively. If I analyse the club as an outsider now, and I look and I see so many clubs in Europe as well. I see the systems. I see how they're working, for the future as well, how they build up the first team squad, the second team as well, etc. My biggest question here at Spurs, and that's where the biggest mistake came, when we came to that season of Pochettino, to the final of the Champions League final as such, that was the year, and actually a year beforehand, be honest with you already, should be start to build for 3 to 4 years later. My biggest question here, and that's where I think that accountability has to come in for the top level, big time, is how the system of scouting and data analytic point of view of players or suits for Spurs, because specifically for Spurs at the time, to join the club, or is it just ad hoc? An agent calls up, would you like to have that midfield player or defender? Because most of the teams now, top teams especially, I work a lot with them as well now, especially with the sporting directors, they have at least 15 guys, very, very knowledgeable, even scientists, analyzing for years some of the youngsters, if that actually suits from the skill point of view, from the mentality point of view, also from into the club's kind of philosophy, because every club has its philosophy. But then irrelevant the manager comes in or not, if Conte, Pochettino, whatever comes into it, because the club is the most important part, not the manager. Manager goes, the players goes, but the club will stays always. And my question here, did they ever done like a business plan scenario within the club structure? Who is responsible to have a future kind of generation coming through the club and buying the right players with the right attitude to the club? That's one. I don't see it, Spurs. That's why where we are today. We are now hoping within the next 10 days having a magic transfer with major players. Yeah, you might fit the bill for 1 day, 2 days. Everybody's happy. Okay, we have got a few players into it. But within 6 months' time, we might have the same problem again in the next transfer window. I think the concept from the club now today, especially from the future club, with so much money involved, as Richard correctly say, it's actually unbelievable that these guys sitting on the bench and on TikTok with 200 grand a week, pretty much taking the, sorry, my language, the piss to everybody. That's what it is. And I'm an ex-players. I always for the players to earn money because they're a short career and they should earn as much as they can. There's no problem with that, but also respect when you earn that kind of money. Don't also be humble about it. Even you don't play, don't go around the TikTok around it when you don't play. Be a man and earn the money, but also be loyal when you're on the pitch, if not on the pitch. And that part is missing with this young generation massively. It's a completely new generation without loyalty, without trust, without any passion behind. They're taking everything for granted. Sorry, they're just getting contracts for nothing and a hell of a lot of money, as Richard said. We're talking here 200,000, 200, 300,000 grand a week. Guys, some people having that the whole life don't even have that as a pension. They're having it in 1 week. The reality check doesn't come in these young players today. Somebody has to knock on the door today. Listen, guys, you're 21, okay, fantastic, but listen, most of the people never, ever, ever will earn that kind of money. So I think there's a major attitude and philosophy problem within the club as well, under the bottom. And also an accountability point of view of looking to the first team, how to scout, how to put the right people in place, the relevant, whatever manager we get. Now we've got a Conte, great manager, without a doubt. But also in this case, he has to work with whatever he has in there. But he's about 3 to 5 seasons at least transfer window behind. You can't do that in one window in 10 days. This takes 2 to 3 years to build up. There's no fresh blood involved and no fresh blood. Every club in the planet needs within a couple of years, up to 3 years, new blood into the squad, new spirit, new motivation. Everybody motivates, more competition comes involved. That part is very fundamental, and from psychological point of view, as a dressing room, I'm talking as a player, it helps. I always love if some centre half comes into it, even if strong or not stronger. That makes my game better because every session I will go 200% because I want to play on Saturday. And we don't see that now at this club. So there's lots of points here, or I do not see, from a professional point of view, not being managed correctly. Yes, we got some good people involved, but it's the same, you don't have the tools to run the club the way it should be.
Chris, the whole mission statement of the club and what's expected and the whole conduct and discipline of the club comes from the very top of the club. And you kind of get the feeling if Daniel's got 2 phones on his desk, one for the football club and one for the property side and the deals and everything going on, and both ring at the same time, Daniel's picking up the one that's ringing that's for the property side of it. And that's the whole problem. We feel now like a property development company with a quite good works football team.
Yeah.
And that's the whole problem. The focus isn't solely on the football. And that trickles down the pyramid. That trickles down from the very top. That trickles down to everybody. And if at the very top the focus isn't the football, the players feel like, well, I can get away with just sitting on TikTok or doing this or not putting it in because the chairman's more worried about building flats and cinemas around the ground. And do you see what I mean? It's just not that focus from the top down. And that filters all the way through the club. Everybody's sole aim and focus should be the football. And it simply isn't. It simply isn't. So this is why I think you just got players that feel like, if you had a teacher at school that was very, very, not disciplinarian, but was very focused on you as students and providing good lessons and everything, you sat and listened, didn't you? When a supply teacher came in, everybody just kicked back and was throwing bits of paper around the classroom because, and that's how it feels. It just feels like a supply teacher that's got hold of us at the moment. And everything's running out of control. We need a good headmaster that's concentrating on teaching the kids and not what's going on with putting extensions on the school and everything else at the moment. It's a mess. The whole thing's just currently not focused enough, not driven enough. It's not football focused enough.
And to go off the back of that, it's true because as Ramon, you both just said this, Tottenham as a business is a great business. It's got a great business model. It makes great money. It looks fantastic on a spreadsheet. However, we're fans. We support the club. We support the players on the pitch. And when you look at our recruitment right now, it is very questionable because there are people who look at the spreadsheet and go, Tottenham have spent money. They did buy Dembele. They did buy Lo Celso. They bought Doherty. We bought Sanchez. We are buying. But as Ramon quite rightly stressed, look at that recruitment. We bought Doherty, who was playing at Wolves as a right wing back, to play right back, a position that there was no data that showed that was a position that he would work in, and it never worked for us. There are so many bits in the recruitment that I go, who's calling the shots? Now Paratici is in place. I'm going, okay, I know we're not going to fix it January. We know this. Like as fans, we know we're not going to transform this whole team. But what needs to happen is we need to see the change in the guard, the shift in this. We need to see a signing, even if it's one that Conte goes, that's my guy. This is who I wanted. This is one of many to come, but this one comes in and does the job that I need him to do. He starts to lead the team, change the ethos around this side, because I think Conte also doesn't have his general on our pitch yet. He doesn't have the man who is as passionate as he is on the sideline on the pitch. And he's had those players throughout his career. And he's had those throughout his managerial life. I'm looking at Spurs going, we don't have the boss. There's no one on the pitch who frightens anyone. When they're not playing well, to go sort it out. To, like we're saying about that dressing room culture, to be like, to go in tomorrow and go, Deli, you was on TikTok. Are you having a laugh? We're getting out there, getting battered, playing shit, not looking great. And you're on TikTok. Mate, we're having it. We're having this now. And it needs to be about that. It needs to be that energy, that family, that collective ownership of this whole thing. Because if we're not all owning it together, then get out. And it's so hard to get these players out. And I think that is the difficulty of what we've created for ourselves. In terms of taking our head away from the business and not looking at the team, we've given money to players and paying them a lot of money. Then now they're never going to want to leave us. Why is Dembele going to leave? Because he doesn't care about football. He cares about his wage check right now. This is a business for him. He's earning the money that he wants. Why is he leaving us? Because he clearly doesn't care about football. Dele clearly looks like he doesn't care about football anymore. So why would he want to leave? And I think this is now where the board are going to have to make some decisions that they may not want to and go, is the money side of it important? Is Dele's value the key? Because if they've valued him at 40, do we wait for 40? Or do you go, we need to get rid of him? I'll take 20. I'll take 10. Because once you leave the wages and all of that, that's the energy we don't need at our side. We need to remove that. We can't be the business plan. We need to be the football model. And Conte is showing that passion. And if that dressing room isn't being supported like that, it's only going to backfire on us. This whole wave that we're creating with Conte being there is just going to end up going to nothing if we don't capitalise on everything that needs to be changed. The business is great. Let's concentrate on the pitch. Cross that line. Let's get that business going.
Crackers, let's come to you. As Darren said there, concentrate on the pitch. Surely, if you bring in a world-class manager like Antonio Conte, he has to be backed. You're bringing in a serial winner who is used to going to clubs, used to signing players, used to winning trophies, everywhere he's been. Surely he has to turn this around. But do you think it's a bigger job than he first thought?
Oh, undoubtedly. And, maybe Antonio doesn't quite escape every bit of criticism here today, because he set us up not to lose. But then on the other hand, I could see why he done that, because our mentality and our confidence is so fragile. So he may have been able to set up a little bit differently to try and have a little bit more of a go. But when you look at what he's got to play with, he can only play with the cards he's been dealt. So, you know, I can understand why he's set up like that today and not had a go. I think he was just trying to go there and get at least a draw. It was a don't lose setup today, wasn't it? Rather than to go and win. Yeah. And that didn't quite come off for him today. So,
well, the thing is, Crackers, like Ramon said, we're not a top 4 club. So
no.
Did you
But we're not far off of it either, though, Chris, are we? That's the thing. Despite all this as well, we're not that far off. That's the main thing. With some little adjusts and some right personnel, we walk into that top 4.
Well, Richard, you're right there. But is that if we walk into that, you know, I prefer there's a continuity and then say, yes, we have a most likely to walk into it. At this point, yes, we all pray that it goes into the top 4, you know. But we all know in the same time, one game comes up on the weekend, we win again. We all high spirit, like Leicester City at that time, last few minutes. It was fantastic. Everybody joy. It was great for the dressing room as well, because I think that's what was needed, that kind of last minute win and getting everybody flamed. That's it. Was not been happening for months. I would say potentially even years now in this case, you know. But we need to be realistic, guys. I think Tottenham is not at the level of the top 4. When I saw today the game, you can see the differences massively, you know. And yes, and then what is a good player when he was playing Lyon. Yes, he earns a hell of a lot of money. Of course, you know, who's going to pay that money to play? He wants to play football, but, you know, in the same time, he doesn't want to economically lose it either, you know. I think the key point here is Spurs is they need to be realistic about it. This is not going to be an overnight scenario. It's going to be, I would say, good years to build a very competitive team to be at the top 4. We took the top 4 now at the moment, okay? Now, regarding Conte, yes, we got the best manager in the world. It's all great. He knows. Well, by now he knows what he walked into it. Because at the moment, we can talk about the best manager in the world, but also I like to test the best manager in the world with the players he has to deal with. If he has only this team to play with, that's where the challenge of a manager comes into it. If he can get something out of them over the period of time, then I say that he's definitely even better manager than he is now. So it's easy to say top manager and just back him with players and pretty much that's the easy part. But I think a manager has to show also that whatever he's been giving, at this point we just have these players at the squad, they can do the best out of them, because don't forget, Pochettino didn't have for a long time transfer has been given to him. And still, period of time, we went to the Champions League. So from Conte's point of view, I also want to see from him performance with this team, what he has in hand. Of course, we have to back him, and that's easier. But I don't believe it's going to happen. You know?
Ramon, can I ask you a question as an ex-player? Is there an argument to be had that maybe Conte was too good for us? That he's trying to work with a level of player that he can't really work with, and we may have been better with a manager that would be more suited to this squad. It's just something. I wonder whether the manager is too good for the players.
But that makes sense. Very, very, very good question, Richard. This is coming to the point I was just saying before. What is the structure, the overall scouting structure within the football side within this club? And the manager is one of the main point to a point, of course. And what you're going to do around him. Now, if he's too good or he's not too good for this team now, it's not really, it's actually relevant at this time. It's the question, what are they going to do with this manager? What was the game behind to appoint such a manager? Is it just because let's keep the fans happy because we have a great manager and see how it works? But in the same time, that will be wrong economics in terms of sporting point of view, but also if you sack, we have to pay them quite a lot of money, as we've done with Mourinho in this case, okay? And don't forget, we had also Mourinho, great track record, didn't happen. We've got many managers. I always say, every manager comes to Spurs, it's not the same like any other club they're going to join. Spurs is a completely different way of being managed and becoming in as a manager. The manager, and most of the time at the club of Spurs, has hardly ever something to say because it's come from the top with the limitation, what has been given to him or not. And that's where the accountability comes into it now. Because now the sporting accountability has to come into it. As he says, business-wise, wonderful. We're very happy. We've got a very sound club, very financially stable, making money in many ways. Great real estate aspect behind, assets, etc. Great, fantastic to come into the stadium. Very proud for every fans to come in and show this beautiful stadium. But I'm not proud watching it when I'm inside the stadium. That comes to that philosophy. You're not happy in your house. You want to go down to the pub for a pint because you're not happy in your house. That's exactly.
It is fair to say, though, that since Antonio Conte has come in, he has improved a number of players. And, of course, he's got the results because up till today, he'd been unbeaten in the Premier League, 6 wins and 3 draws. So, if everything was fantastic, then we wouldn't have Antonio Conte in charge in the first place. So he must be a little bit frustrated in some ways because he has clearly given his evaluations of this squad. What do you think the evaluation said, on that piece of paper to Daniel Levy? Has he come out and said that, I can't work with a number of these players and I do need X, Y, and Z in these transfer windows? And do you see it happening?
Well, this conversation will be a very, very, very interesting one, to be honest with you. I think that was a conversation between luring him to a position. Let's come where he's coming from. He left Inter Milan, obviously frustrating because he was not being backed with some transfer because Inter Milan had massively financial issues. That's why Lukaku were left to Chelsea, and we see what Lukaku also had emotionally in this case because he had a problem because he wanted to be in Inter Milan still, even over 6 months later. Conte had the same issue. No doubt he wanted to still stay at Inter Milan, hence he didn't want to potentially sign in the summer. But then when you're out of job for a long time as a manager, as good as you are, it's always more and more difficult to get a job. In the same time, I think he saw Spurs, yes, we're coming into it now, I could potentially do something about it, but maybe promised something now he's realizing it's not been given to him. And I think my worry here is, as a person like I know him as well, he might just walk out.
You know what, Ramon, you made a really good point about when managers come to Spurs, it's a different remit. There's a different way that Spurs work and there's a different structure in place. And for me, I look at that and go, so that's the problem then, isn't it? Because we're talking about us not being a top 4 side anymore. You look at the top 4 above us, you look at the managers and the system that they have. They are world-class managers. You talk about Pep, you talk about Klopp. You look at the way in which they manage, the way in which they're supported by their chairmen. When they want something, it's achieved. The board go out and get the tools that they need. Conte, we know, is a great manager. As you quite rightly said, Chris, what he's done in his time already, he has improved players. But what he has improved is that feeling in our squad. As Ramon, you spoke about, going, the togetherness wasn't there. We didn't look like a team. That start of the season was appalling. We didn't know who we were. We had no identity as a side. Now he's trying to reinstill that. And he's looking at those players, and that meeting would have been a case of him going, I see the problems, but I also see how I can fix it because he's that good. We have to understand he is. He's looked at players like Bert Wine as he came out after the Leicester game. He doesn't want to lose him because he sees something that he can do with him. He's looking at Delhi and certain other individuals going, I can't do anything with those. As good as I am, the structure that I want to build, the ethos that I want at this club, they're not going to fit into it. That doesn't mean that he's failed them. It just means that they don't work for him. And I think what Poch was able to do, because you flagged that up, he built a whole ethos with Tottenham. He had these players young, he brought them into his system, they had a season to learn, and then they flourished. And that's what he built. That was his system. Conte goes, give me some of my tools and watch what I do. He's already improved some of these players that I believe will become the squad players, but he's going, give me the tools now and I can achieve it. And I think Tottenham have to look at their structure and go, if we're going to be up there and compete, we've got to change that structure. Paratici has come in, which shows they want to change it. Now, Joe Jordan, Enoch, that whole team has to go, we've not done this before. This may feel weird. He's probably sweating, rubbing his palms, going, they're going to want more money from me. I don't know how to give that money. My account doesn't structure in that way, but he has to do it. Don't build a restaurant. Don't build a hotel. Build the team. Then people are going to want to come to the restaurant and come to the hotel because the team looks great. You'll get your money back, Joe. You'll get your money back, Enoch. Back the players, back the squad, back the manager. That ethos has to change now. We have to do it now.
Crackers, let's come to you.
Go
on, Ramon.
Just add on this as well. It's a modern day football at this point. It's very commercial, hence obviously a lot of money is now on the table. And that's why, lucky enough, a lot of investors wanted to come into the game. We are part of the richest league in the world with the Premier League. There's no doubt whatsoever. Spurs created a tool of a machinery from a commercial point of view. The stadium, of course, adding with the NFL and you name it, all the events. It's all good. I'm for it. That's not even a question. But I think we need to distinguish the two parts, and that's where the accountability should come into it. And I think if the board, the senior level, starts to look into it, to structure it in a completely two different entities, we call it in this case. You've got obviously the whole real estate side and everything else. Keep it, have it, run it. That's great. But then you need to have a completely full sporting / entertainment kind of entity where one is really accountable just for the sporting side with a budget in place. Because when you start to give a budget and you give also accountability to these people who you are pointing to, okay? That means they have the freedom to decide. And I don't see at this point now, it's a freedom of accountability and decision-making. It always has to go back, do we have that kind of money? Instead to say, here's the budget, Fabio in this case, or whatever is in this position. That's what you have to play with and be the man and go do the job. And I don't see that structure in place. Most of the clubs I see in Europe, and I'm telling you that in Germany and other places, running it massively good, very smooth as such. And we're talking here a club where I think financially it's very sound. Yes, we got that because obviously we built up a new stadium and everything else, but nevertheless, revenue stream is coming into it. You can adjust that and play to make sure the squad is also at the same level. But that, as I say, that takes over at least 3 years, if not more, to be honest with you, as we are today. But the key part is to build that system in place. And I think Daniel Levy, if a good from a business point of view, if he can structure that side in a very good way, then we might get Spurs where it's very competitive in the future. But if that's not happened, forget it. We're going to be here in 5 years having another call where we talk the same thing.
Crackers, let's come to you. Let's take a couple of questions here. Elvis writes, the summer transfer window will demonstrate our club's ambition and where this club is going. Now, for me personally, I didn't expect a great deal to happen in this January transfer window. Of course, 1 or 2 players might come in, 1 or 2 players might go out. There is a week left. But do you think that the summer, are we going to see a lot of signings for Conte, and is he going to be backed in the summer? You know, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, January's traditionally been a very difficult window to do any big business in, but not impossible, Chris. You know, there's been, I think it was in January, the Liverpool striker, Spanish lad's been about the biggest one that ever came in about 10, 12 years ago. Can't think of his name there. Yes, correct. So it's a difficult window, but not unachievable. And we certainly now, as Ramon said, have the business in place and the tools in place to generate the money to make our financial fair play spending ability capable of bringing some players in. You know, it's all very well bringing in a Brian Hill, who I rate, but he's not ready yet, you know, and Pape Sarr, who looks like he might be a good player, but not ready yet. You know, we've got some right players, but we need some right now players as well. And it's certainly not out of the realms of possibility for ENIC to show to Conte and the management team, we're serious about trying to back you and giving you 2 or 3 new players this window to work with. And alongside that, show Conte that when he makes a decision, like saying Ndembele's no good to me, which he's clearly said, Dele is no good to me. He's clearly, you know, messaged that out. Gio's no good to me. Turning around and saying, well, not only are we going to buy players, we're going to take losses on players as well. And if getting rid of those players means you've got to take a bit of a hit, so be it, you know, and then that's a massive statement of intent. Getting players out the door that don't want to be there. And, you know, if that costs you a bit, so be it. But it sends out a statement of intent. We're backing our manager. We're wheedling out those that don't want to get into the trenches and have a war. And we're bringing in 2 or 3 players that are going to help. And that is doable in January. You know, somebody's going to take Ndembele if you're prepared to take a small transfer fee for him, so that covers his wages. And then he's gone, because you're going to save, with the rest of his contract, it's something like 30 million quid we've got to pay him if he sees his contract out. So just get him off the books. It hasn't worked. Get him out the door and then bring some people in. So that is doable in January, to get some of those out that don't want to be there and bring 1 or 2 in. And then all of a sudden you say, okay, now the club looks like it means business. It's looking after the football side of things. It's got things wrong in the past with recruitment. Now we're trying to fix it. Here's our statement of intent as a club. And in the summer, we're going to go and have a right good go, because January is difficult, but those are statements of intent that you can and should get over the line in a January window.
Ramon, I've got to ask you this question, because a couple of weeks ago we had former Tottenham Hotspur player Dean Austin on, and he said very similar to you. He said that, you know, some of these players nowadays are just interested in the money. And as Cracker said earlier, £200,000 a week on Ndombele, you know, just talk me through it. You know, being a professional footballer, surely you live your life growing up wanting to be a professional footballer. You get to that stage. Surely the one thing on your mind is to be in that starting 11 inside that stadium, the fans singing your name, and you be successful as a footballer. Not just say, you know, I'm going to go to the bank and withdrawing my money this week. You know, talk me through that and make me understand, because it made me feel very sad when Dean Austin said that, and he makes me feel very sad as an ex-professional, you saying it.
Dean is not wrong at all. I think this new generation came up. We're talking now in the 90s, you know. We need to fight to get a contract, you know, at the time. You really need to show on the pitch that we are the right people to be engaged as a player. Today, the players just been giving massively contracts just for sitting there. For them, they say, well, I only make 200 grand a week. Why do I care if I play or not? And I think it comes also the whole business industry around them, the agents, everybody's earning a lot of money as such. They also kind of way telling the players, you know, you got a big contract, I negotiate you a good one. Who do you care? What do you care about this club now? sit there and earn the money. I think it's pretty much going that direction because everybody's earning up quite a lot of money. The industry has massively improved in the money side point of view, and the players' mentality has weakened. That's for certain. There's no doubt. The players' mentality of today, the young lads, is not as strong as it used to be 15, 20 years ago. In terms of loyalty point of view, in terms of passion point of view, you will not see. These are kids. They're supposed to be men already on the pitch, even they're 21, 22. But we as a 21 years old, we were playing with 28, 29 years old. If we didn't run, I'm telling you that now, we will have a proper problem in the dressing room there afterwards from the big boys. We say, why you're so lazy, why you're not running, why you're not doing this tackle, etc. And I don't think that's happening in the dressing room. Everybody's just stum, goes into the dressing room. Yeah, it's another 90 minutes. We lost, we won. Okay, yes, we won. Everybody's faking around, is happy around the thing for one day, and that's it. Next day, they go to the training session. They don't care about it. And I think that's a problem within the mentality of today, not just at Spurs in this case, but in generally with the young players today. It's a big problem.
Darren, let's come to you. Comment on screen now. No goals in 4 games against Chelsea this season. It's been tough to take. And Manny also writes, too many bad losers. Why are they not performing and want to jump ship? Actually, let's talk about the starting 11 in the game and what you made of it. Hugo Lloris in goal, the back four of Tanganga, Dyer, Sanchez and Davis. Then in midfield, Doherty, Winks, Højbjerg, Sessegnon, Kane and Bergwijn up front. Now, when that starting 11 come out, Darren, how were you feeling? Were you confident that Spurs were going to get a result or not?
I was confused to start with. I'm not going to lie. I was confused because I didn't know what the system was. I didn't know what that formation was and who was playing where. But as Crackers quite rightly said earlier, when I looked at it, once I figured out what they were doing, it was a team that was set up to try and hold the game. It wasn't a team that was set up to try and win the game. It was going, if we can hold Chelsea, then we may get something out of it. We can nick something. Because we know football is moments. We were hoping for a moment that maybe Kane got, Bergwijn got, because he's confident from the last game. And that's what we were edging our bets for. And when we started, it looked like it could have had an opportunity. It started well. It started like that was going to be fruitful. But as a Spurs fan, I go, as football happens, they're going to get a moment too. And it's how they take their moments, how we take ours. There were pivotal moments in the game. People talk about Kane's goal being disallowed. Quite rightly so. I know people want to split hairs over it. He did a long arm. Once you do a long arm, you give the referee easy idea to go, you've been pushed. And Silva sold it. Like Thiago Silva, he sold it. He knew what he was doing. He was out of position. Ramon, you probably know more about that selling it than we will. And he made sure the referee saw it and was like, yep, there was contact. I'll pull it up. But that was the moment. And then we didn't have another one after that. And I think the team, again, you looked at it on paper and it was relying on a couple of individuals. There's no real spark in that team right now. And I think that's what my concern is. There's not the player that you look at and go, they've got magic. They're just going to produce magic. Because a team that's set up the way this one was, the magic man has to step up. You're looking at, and I love Kane, but he's a worker right now. Kane, for me, is in work mode. He's dogged. He's fighting. He's trying to find, I think he's trying to find form. That's what he's looking to find right now. So he's not going to be the magic man, as we saw in the Leicester game. Bergwijn got angry and he became the magic man. And I think we don't have enough of those characters, and there weren't enough in that 11 to start that gave me hope of going, this game could go our way. I was like, if we can get a 0-0, we're very lucky out of here. Very lucky. That's where my head was.
Crackers, let's come to you. Now, that first half, in the 4th minute, the 9th minute, the 12th minute, Chelsea had chances, could have taken the lead, but Tottenham then came back into the game. And I felt that the first half was, pretty decent performance by Spurs. And then, of course, in the 40th minute, Harry Kane put the ball in the net. Now, it's funny because inside the stadium, we all felt that the goal was disallowed because of, the referee was going to give a foul on Steven Bergwijn. But of course, when I've seen the replays, and my phone then went absolutely mad inside the stadium with everyone saying, that goal should have stood. What's your take on that decision from the referee?
Well, you can see why in today's game.
Smiles, Richard. Smile a little bit, mate. Come on.
I'm always happy, Ramon.
This is like going to a cemetery this evening, because the best
Come on.
of the small club in the Premier
I
League.
retired at 48 years old and live in Lanzarote. I'm always smiling, mate. Don't worry about me. I live near some of the world's best vineyards as well. Like life's good, but you know.
By the way, I love the Doors kind of picture behind you there. Great movie, by the way, as well. Great music, you know. But yeah, have a smile. Now you can answer your question.
Chris is asking me about Spurs, not my life. If he's asking me about my life, I'd be smiling all the time. But
do you know what? Do you know what, though, Craig? I've seen you smile.
I feel sorry for you as well, mate.
you are always smiling on this channel, but tonight there's not many smiles about.
No, it's difficult, Chris. It's very difficult. You know, you're not free lot. Don't smile.
Well, you're the one telling everyone to smile.
That Kane moment, Chris. It's you can see why it was given as a foul, but it shouldn't be a foul. And I said on Twitter earlier, the crowd in the stands as a whole will always tell you what's happened. And when Kane took the ball and put it in the net, I maybe saw half a dozen Chelsea fans putting their arms up as if to say something was wrong. And everybody else was just like, oh, he scored. So if that was a foul, the whole of that stand behind the goal would have been up in arms and screaming for a foul. But they didn't. So that tells you all you need to know about that. If that stands, Chris, we may have, do you know what? We may have gone on. It was right on the stroke of half time. It may have lifted us. This is what I'm saying. It is very, very fine margins at the moment. And we can't, Chelsea are a better team than us. They've had better investment. They're further ahead of us. They're European champions. So to go there and expect a result is maybe too much. So the next thing that you expect is a performance and not to give them goals, because Chelsea haven't really scored many goals against us in those last 3 games. We've given them goals. We've scored own goals. We've beaten ourselves before they've beaten us. So from today, if I can take any positives from it, they have actually had to beat us today, which maybe is a baby step of progress. Maybe that's a little bit of the Conte effect. If you're going to lose, get beaten. Don't beat yourself. So today, maybe like that stands like the second leg of the semi-final. Couple of goals without VAR, and they may well have stood. Do you see what I mean? It's that finite, but it's just getting that mentality, that little extra edge. The Premier League is like every team is only this far apart. You know, if you watch La Liga and other leagues, they're that far apart, bottom and top. You know, it's like that's why everybody loves watching the Premier League. It's certainly not the best football in the world, but it's the most entertaining in the world, because top can beat bottom sometimes on a more regular basis than anywhere else. So if you can get those small tweaks right at your club and get the atmosphere right and the personnel right and everybody pulling in the right direction, you can go on to do things. That first half, I was really happy with, Chris, to be honest. It was a vast improvement from what we normally go and do at Stamford Bridge. So you think to yourself, do that again. If I can come out of today with a 0-0 draw, that's like a win at Stamford Bridge, the way things are at the moment. But it took a wonder goal from Ziyech in the second half, and then a set piece where we were, which could have been defended a bit better. But that wonder goal is because, your man, the young lads on a yellow card. Tanganga, thank you. It's like he's at the standoff him because he's on the yellow card, because he's got, he's not got that maturity yet to be able to go, all right, I'm playing on the yellow card, I need to be able to do my game a little bit different. Stood off of him and he scores a wonder goal. Hugo's not saving that. You could have put Pat Jennings and Ray Clements in goal with Hugo today, and the three of them ain't saving it. It's as simple as that. So at least today we actually got beaten rather than Tottenham versus Chelsea as it normally is. But the first half, which coming back to your original question, is I was happy with it. I was actually happy with that first half performance.
Well, Richard, Ramon wants to see you smile, so we're going to go back in time a little bit. A question here from Jimmy. I've been a Spurs supporter since 1965 and was lucky enough to see some great players from my days on the terrace. Now, you interview a lot of the Spurs legends. Tell us about your, some of your favourite stories and some of your events coming up.
Oh, blimey. I'm back over in Feb, and I start February the 18th in Wales with Chrissy Waddle. So in fact, between February and April, I'm seeing more of Chris Waddle than I am my wife. I think I'm going to end up being married to Chris Waddle at this stage. so yeah, I'm doing some nights with Chrissy Waddle and Clive and Paul Allen, Glenn Hoddle as well. So yeah, got some good Harry Redknapp. I'm doing a night with Harry as well. So got some good nights coming up, and but yeah, I work with all the players. I'm yet to do a night with Ramon. When's Ramon?
I was about to say that.
When's Ramon coming? Like, going to come out of retirement and come and start speaking to a few people at these nights in the UK. So a couple of bottles of red wine, and we'll get him singing like a bird, can't we, on stage?
That's not even a question mark, mate. That's absolutely correct with you. You've got nice, lovely wine. I'm there, mate. Anytime, Richard. When I'm back for certain, mate. Always love. You know me. It works, Chris. You know it works with me, isn't it? Huh?
See, Ramon, you've got him smiling. You've got Richard smiling now.
Well, that's what happens, That's what happened on Sunday nights, You need to smile a bit, even it's, a disappointing result. But yeah, Richard, absolutely. I've been more than well, happy to come, mate. Absolutely, loved it. Been back in the UK, I will be there. You know that.
Excellent. Right, I'll get something in place. Let me know when you're over.
Good work.
I will. Maybe sooner than rather than later, mate. The way Spurs goes,
Ramon, let's talk about the second half, and of course Chelsea's first goal in the 46th minute. Ziyech, as Crack has just said there, an incredible goal. What could Hugo Lloris do about that? Because when he's flat-footed and don't even dive for the ball, that was one hell of a finish, wasn't it?
This is not even a question mark. There's class finishing there. I think everybody got by surprise, including Hugo. He actually tried to do that bend right over there. It's kind of got everybody surprised. I thought, goodness me, what is he going to do? He's going to do a cross into the 18-yard box from there, because that's kind of a very edgy 18-yard box, just outside or just around there. But he went for it, and I think Hugo's completely got catch by surprise there. That's why I think he was 1-2 feet away from actually getting that ball. Because if you see as a goalkeeper, you immediately straight away see the body language of the person who's going to shoot, where he's going to aim, So that 1-2 feet, he's short, and he's got been completely by surprise. Great finishing, let's to be honest.
Darren, what did you think about the goal? Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, what a fantastic goal, don't you?
Absolutely. As I said before, we set up our team for a magic moment, and they got a magic moment. That was a strike that is worthy of winning most games, in most leagues or most football grounds. So when it went in, we can't dispute that. And as you say, we can pick hairs and say, yeah, Tanganga was on a bookie and he should have got tighter, and maybe Session could have closed down the ball. But it's a worldie. He's got a worldie, and you just got to sometimes go, respect you. You have that, mate. Well done.
Darren, going back to the starting lineup, of course, Matt Doherty in the second half against Leicester had a fantastic 45 minutes. Of course, Stephen Bergwijn's magic 2 goals right at the end. Did you expect both of them to start in today's game, or what did you think of their performances?
I didn't want them, if I'm honest. I didn't want them to start, because I feel that we're still at a point where they're not quite doing what they need to do, and that just highlights where the squad's at. Like, Doherty has moments, but he's not consistent. And Bergwijn has moments and he's not consistent. I'd have liked us to be in a situation today where we had a squad that allowed Bergwijn to come on and be an impact person, to run at Silva when Silva's tired, to exploit the gaps that are happening in the game as people get heavy legs. But it didn't. We don't have the squad to do that. And with Emerson not being preferred today, and then obviously we've got Doherty is our only option on that side now. And you didn't want to put Tanganga out there, and I can see what Conte's trying to do, but we're limited. We are limited, and I think that's why I wasn't excited by that lineup. But I saw what the plan was, and I think that's been key for Conte for me now. Is I can see the plan when they're out there. As I said, I couldn't work it out before, but as soon as I saw it, I thought, I get it. I see what you're trying to do. The players should see what you're trying to do, and now go out and perform it. So, yeah, Doherty and Bergwijn, I'd love them to be in situation for Bergwijn to have been impact player like he was against Leicester, to come on and change the game, because I think right now he'd have been more effective there. But I think Moura had a knock, and he was the fresher legs to start, so he had to.
Crackers, let's come to you in the 55th minute. Mason Mount floated over a free kick. Thiago Silva, 2-0. Talk us through that goal. Were you disappointed by the defending?
Of all the players to score the goal was the man,
Yeah.
but you know that, and there you go. That's typical at Chelsea, isn't it? You know, 1 minute he's doing what he's done one end, and then goes up the other. Yeah, it was disappointing again. It seems to be a bit of Achilles heel for us, doesn't it? That type of free kick that comes in. Writing seemed to be a little bit on the wall from crosses and corners, where we never take control or dominate those situations. It's never a Tottenham head that gets onto it and clears it out. You know, it's always an opposition header that sort of goes wide or tests the keeper or even scores from. So, and I think a lot of teams realise that, you know, if you throw one in the mixer at Spurs, you're going to have half a chance. We just don't seem to be able to dominate on set pieces. Maybe when Romero gets back, you know, that's another body there that's going to deal with those situations a bit better. Dyer today, I thought was great, but other than those two coming back, we look a little bit small and a little bit weak and a little bit able to be bullied at the back at the moment. We just can't seem to get that settled back three or five, you know, going at the moment. There isn't people that dominate their positions there. So yeah, and then at 2-0. You just feel the game's done. It was encouraging in some respects, like I said, that they had to come and beat us. But other than that Kane goal, we didn't seem to lay too much of a glove on them yet again, you know. And teams like Brighton can go there and ask questions and get a goal and have more in-game moments and chances than we seem to be able to create. So an improvement on previous visits there in some respects, but still really worrying that we just look so off of being able to create our moments, let alone even convert them. You know, that's a real worry. But set pieces again, yeah, they're a worry, Chris. They really are.
Ramon, let's come to you. Of course, as a former central defender at Spurs, what did you make of Chelsea's second goal? And when we talk about Antonio Conte improving players at Spurs in the last couple of months since he's arrived, have you been happy with the improvements that he's made with the central defenders that we have?
Well, if you look at what he was before, there's no doubt. We took nearly non-defending was there. It was kind of some shamble within the organisation in the squad. And the defence was not just defence himself. It's just that before the defence, the centre midfield player screening in front of the centre half, that communication, that help, that unity was not there. Pretty much everybody was like a single player or not a unit, and that's, as a defender, is very, very, very difficult. When you're a centre half, you want to feel either your back four as a unit and you've got your centre midfield with you together. when you have, as a unit, you know you can defend, you can look after each other. If somebody makes a mistake, the other one can cover up, etc. That's not happened beforehand. So everybody's saying, okay, that's my position, but not a unit. I think Conte, what he brought into it, he brought kind of some discipline and organization, and be a unit, be working together, be more focused to be working as a unit, not just an individual defender. Yes, but today, the set pieces, without a doubt, this is one of the things definitely they need to work in. That one, you need to put your head into it and defend with arms and legs, to get that out of that 18-yard box. That's one of the centre halves has to do. You need to have somebody who's really, 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 really just not afraid to go into a situation where you need to put the head into it, But without a doubt, he has improved. He was good for the club in terms of the team as a unit. It's more united as a team being played, and I think the aggressivity and the mentality within the dressing room is starting to improve more and more. We saw today even some part it was okay, but I was surprised today that he actually went out very defensive kind of way, tactics at Stamford Bridge. I think he was still afraid from the semi-final we lost against them, because I think we got absolutely hammered. We've been pretty much embarrassed by Chelsea. And it was a semi-final of the League Cup. That was a disappointing kind of game. And today I was also a little bit disappointed. Why is he going so defensive, where he could actually be more offensive, more not a so conservative way of playing, because I think Spurs is more suitable to be going forward. Obviously, the defensive side has to be improved, but we're not the strongest as that. Going forward, we're much stronger. And I think against Chelsea, you should take the risk to pretty much at least you have a go against Chelsea, But at the same time, I think his tactic is today, it was not to lose against them, at least get a draw out of it. And I think that was Conte's strategy and tactics today. And you can see that because the team was really in a kind of, what do we do? Should we stay in the back? Should we go forward? It was always a kind of like a 50-50 scenario. They were not free to go forward when you see them in other games.
Roman, after today's game, Antonio Conte came out and said, very difficult to face this type of team. They don't have 11 players. They have 22, 23 players of an important level. The effort was good. I have to be proud, but the defeat hurts me a lot. Now, a question on screen now. We can't spend like Chelsea or Manchester City and have no top youth talent coming through despite our top training ground. What is the identity of our club? Now, with Antonio Conte coming in, surely a manager like him is going to want the big prizes. He's going to want to play in the Champions League. He's going to want to compete for the Premier League title. You've said earlier that it's going to take a good few transfer windows. Surely he wants this a lot quicker, doesn't he?
Of course, a manager always wants to have yesterday to win something, But I think, to be honest, I think he got now the reality check of this club, the ambitious and the potential, the illusion of what he wanted to do with this club, with his passion. He now is start to see that it's not just a quick fix. It's a long-term scenario, or potentially with not having that backing, like you say, Manchester City or Chelsea or other clubs will have certain funding in place. And he sees now, well, okay, I'm in a situation now. I have to deal with whatever I have now in my squad. If I get one or two in, great, but don't expect more than this. And I think that's the crucial part going forward. Is Spurs willing to leave it as it is, or really back him what he needs to do it? And my doubt here is not going to happen, because there's a financial issue there to back him. So my worry here that he might potentially walk out and say, this is not for me because I can't work in that scenario. Or I can see the other part, the humble way of Conte, and says, do you know what? I want to take that challenge. Whatever team I have in my squad, I make sure I get the best out of it. And don't moan about it, and make sure I can win at least of it or qualify for Europe. So I see only these two kind of version at this point now. Now you can imagine which version potentially he might take.
Or we can dream. We can dream. We can still live in hope. We have 9 days still left. We have Paratici, who no one knows where Paratici is.
Listen, one or two potentially might joining us. It depends. I think just between you listening, hearing, obviously within the market, of course, behind the scene, of course. If they can get out some of these high wages players, then they free up for some players. I think they are, in a way, handling that side as we speak this week. It could be very crucial with the next 2-3 days. Yes, they got 1 or 2 already spotted to do, but they only can do that if they can clear up 1 or 2 high wages salary on the squad to take this in. Most likely, potentially, it's going to happen between you and me now. So knowing what's going on a little bit. But you never know. Last minute, he might say nobody will agree that. That's the problem.
But we can dream still, Ramon. We can still dream. We still have time. Because you know what? We did something this summer, which we've never done before, with Serge Aurier. We didn't worry about the money. And we got him off the books. That was a change in system for me. That was a new way Tottenham were doing business. And I was very impressed. Paratici, I don't know where he is. He may be doing the magic right now. He may be getting the one that makes Conte smile, that makes all of us here have the smiles that we deserve, makes Ramon lift the bottle high and go, let's do this because we've got hope. Because that's what it needs right now. We don't want the whole squad changed in January. We're realistic. But give us the intention. Get the one over the line that makes us all come here and go, we did business, boys. We did business. Summer's going to be happy. It's going to be magical. Crack, get on the plane. Someone in the studio. Let's have
Mr. Hartman. I can see it now. Gregor's Raziak at 11 p.m. on deadline day. He's back. That's it. He's back. Gregor's Raziak and his Lotto boots. He's back, man. Come on.
Why did you do that to my dream? You know I'm going to dream that tonight, don't you? I'm going to jump in a sweat with all those images again. Thanks.
Darren, I really have had enough of dreaming. I need reality now. Let's get down to it. The transfer window. Darren, how confident are you that Tottenham Hotspur will improve this squad in January? Because I'm completely with you. For any transfer window, it has got to improve the starting 11. It's got to improve the squad. There's lots of talks about Adama Traore possibly getting over the line in the next couple of days. How do you feel about that signing? And do you think the Spurs will sign any other players to improve the squad in January?
My theory is in Conte, I have to trust. If he is saying that he wants Traore, then I'm going to go with it. Because Traore brings so many different angles to Spurs. So if we just got him over the line, that can change our play. That can open up different things. Because Traore may not be the most fruitful player in terms of goals. But if you watch his energy and what he provides, he could be the Victor Moses of our side. But what he does is he makes that left-sided defender have to worry about him because he's busy. So that player is no longer worrying about what Kane's doing, not worrying about what Son's doing. So it gives us options. And we don't have many right now. So if we could get that over, if Conte wants him, I'll take that right now because then that's an intent. But if this transfer is an old transfer, because remember, we were linked with him before Conte was here. If we're still doing the old Tottenham transfers, that's a problem. But if we sign him and Conte goes, watch what I do with him. He's my guy. I wanted him. That's why he's here. In Conte, we trust. And I will get him on the back of my shirt. And I'll be there. I'll baby all myself. I'll do one topless. I'll be there, Chris. I will be happy if he makes it work. That's what I'm
Darren, that's a very good point because we were linked and we wanted to sign Adama Traore under the management of Nuno Espirito Santo. So is this signing, if we do get Traore over the line, is it a Conte signing?
The way I feel Conte works, I don't think he would allow them to sign a player he doesn't want. I don't think his character would allow that to happen. And I think having Paratici there, who he's worked with before, he will, when you know someone, you go, don't do this to me. You know what I do. You know how I work. So I believe if we're intending to go for that player, they've agreed it together. This Levy can't put that on Conte because I would see if Traore comes and Conte doesn't want him, we lose Conte. So I don't think that's a risk that we're going to do. So I think if that's been greenlit, that's Conte green lighting it. 100%. That's a Conte buy.
Crackers, let's come to you on the January transfer window. Of course, I've had very special guests on this channel in the last couple of weeks. Fabrizio Romano, the Italian journalist, transfer expert, and Tom White from Sky Sports was on yesterday.
Oh, we see.
And they both said very similar in the fact that we need to sell players before we bring players in. And as you've mentioned, Tongion Ndombele, Dele Alli, etc. Does it look like to you that we're going to offload some of these players in January? Because, of course, there's just over a week to go. We have a lot to do, don't we?
Have to offload them or have to offload them within our current business model, Chris? That for me is the big question. Because, no, I don't think we do have to. We don't have to offload them to bring these new players in. We can offload them on the cheap. I could get rid of Ndombele tonight. You give him away for nothing. He's playing for somebody tomorrow morning. So, and that's within the business model.
Let me put another way to you. What's realistic?
Well, realistically, we have to look at the way ENIC have worked and have worked, and that would suggest that we do have to get rid of some of these wages to bring players in. So, yeah, if they go out the door, I believe that we've got an option on Traore now up until a certain point in this week coming that everything's agreed, and that if we pull the trigger, he's our player. He divides opinion, but at the moment, Chris, I just think we need a bit of new blood there. A bit of something that we can cling on to and get behind. And, Traore's got maybe have his faults with his final distribution, but it might just start getting us off of our seats a little bit, just almost like buying a player just to give us something, not even for what he does on the pitch, just to try and give the place a little bit of a lift. And, wow, there's a player coming. Just see what I'm trying to say? It's just like not what he does on the pitch, what he does off of it. And let's face it, Ramon, he's 20 million. He's 20 million pounds. Like
it's crazy.
Joe Lewis has got that down the back of his sofa in loose change, man, on his boat. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is exactly Richard.
If Joe Lewis stays in dock in Monaco for a week and doesn't have a little cruise around the harbour, he's paid for Traore. That boat must have a £20 million gas tank in it just to run it round the harbour. So stay in dry dock for a week, book yourself into a Premier Inn, Joe Lewis, and that's it. Traore's paid for. And like we're a little bit happier as fans. Like, he just we're just so bereft of having some personnel and a little bit of a lift that he just acts as that, doesn't he?
Richard, just to have somebody sign to lift us. This is exactly the wrong thing.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you, Ramon. I agree with you.
Somebody, the crowd is hallelujah, Gareth Bale, we're talking about everybody's over the moon, anything. But I see this is the wrong philosophy. We shouldn't go to short fix, and long-term harm.
It's a sticking plaster over a big boil, isn't it? Really, but
Richard,
I think we also need that lift.
But Richard, we are Spurs loyal supporters. We know how to suffer for such a long time now.
Look, yes, we shouldn't just sign a player for the sake of signing a player. But at 20 million quid, it ain't a lot of money, is it? That's what I'm saying. If it was a 60, 70 million pound signing, I'd go, whoa, hang on a minute. 20 million quid.
I don't believe so, because that's just give false hope of something. It does not. That's not my philosophy. I think the club has been doing this for a long time. Now they came to a very, very, very awkward situation. We are in a January window. We are still only about 7 days a way to finish the window. We don't know if somebody really comes in because we need to get somebody rid of. Well, it should have been done a long time beforehand, to be honest.
The problem we've got, Ramon, if we throw 20 million quid at him and a contract, and then there's somebody else that comes along for 80 million, but we've only got 60, and if we hadn't have bought him, we could have bought the 80 million pound player, then it is a problem. But I don't know. I just feel like the club needs a bit of a lift with some new personnel and new faces, and maybe some players to challenge those that are there already and make some players think about their squad place. And I'm kind of thinking at 20 million quid, it's not a lot of money to have a little punt on.
As long as Conte wants him. If Conte
as long
is
as
back
Conte
in that
wants
idea,
it. Exactly.
Absolutely. It just say 20
we
million.
need it, but in the front we need it anyway. Because I think it's been a long time with Harry Kane and all these guys. Been playing way too many games, and all the weight that was on his shoulder. And I was saying, I remember about even 3 years ago when he said, if we don't buy somebody supporting alongside of Harry Kane, this guy might get injured, and that's it. It became over with us because everything was on him years back. Of course, we got Son, who is always performing and extremely loyal to the club, I would say. But there was nothing else where actually we came together in case Kane is out. We got somebody else coming. It's no doubt that is needed. We need that support. But again, Richard, I'm not the person to buy just to fix something now or one window. I go back to the philosophy. I do not see structure here on the overall from a sporting point of view and a long-term structure we build within the next 3 to 5 years. We want to compete, let's say, the top 4 and be up there. What is it? Are we having good scouting system in place? Do we have a mathematic data scenario in place for all the players, analytics side worldwide? How do we selecting them? What's the select? And most important part, the accountability at this point, this club, the only accountability we've seen is with the top level guys. Even we have in a sporting director, he has no accountability because he has to go back to the top guys if he's allowed to do this or not. We need to bring certain accountability within that club and some more professional organization skills within the club.
Do you know what Traore is at the moment? Spurs at the moment feels like a bit of a loveless marriage, okay? And you need to put your marriage right long term, And Traore just feels like that little one night stand that you're not going to get caught for, but it's just going to put that spring in your step, isn't it? That's what he's like. We're just in this loveless marriage at the moment, and he's just.
You're very romantic, Richard.
The dirty bird you've met down the pub, in it. It's like, look, I've got rid of Ramon's gone. Look, he's having no part of this. But you get what I'm saying. He just feels like you've gone through a bit of a messy split up, and you've gone out for a night. And it might not be Mrs. Right, but it's Mrs. Right now. It's that vibe, isn't it? I just feel like we need something, just that little lift, that little pick me up, that little pep, almost. So I don't know. Ramon's right. Long term, we shouldn't be buying sticking plasters, But just give me some. We need a life raft, and at the moment, Traore feels like a lump of wood to hold on to in the sea. That's probably a nicer analogy, isn't it? That's what we need at the moment.
And maybe the structure's coming. Maybe the structure is coming.
We all need that, isn't it, Richard?
Ramon, do you get the feeling that as the January transfer window goes on, that a lot of Spurs fans will just accept any player rather than real quality? Because, for me, being a Spurs fan, wanting to improve this starting 11, see improvements in the actual team, not necessarily the squad, it does require real quality and, a lot of money to go out and buy these players. Traore, for instance, does he improve this Tottenham Hotspur starting 11 for you?
I can see the other two guys just saying this, I'm nearly forced to say that, And listen, there's no doubt. I think any strikers joining with
Ramon,
So-
yes or no? Does he improve the starting 11? Yes or no?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question, mate.
Ramon, are you still there?
Ramon's
Hold
gone
on.
in so hard on me, he can't
Hold
say
on,
yes
hold on.
now, can he?
The Wi-Fi.
Ramon, should we ask Sue Gray if she can do an investigation to ask if Traore improves us and then come back to us in 2 weeks' time or something? Is that what you want? Should we have a Sue Gray investigation?
Yeah, that's the help he needs. That's the support he's asking for.
Ask Sue Gray, Chris. Don't ask Ramon.
Listen, mate, it's definitely an improvement for the crowd. Like Richard says, we are happy somebody is coming to Spurs. Let's say it that way. It's definitely an improvement, you know. Richard, you'll be happy now. He's coming out now.
Oh, my days.
Ramon, the other thing you talk about is strikers. The last time we signed a striker on a permanent deal was back in 2017 when it was Llorente. Of course, we had Carlos Vinicius on loan last season. But are you surprised by that? It's a crazy stat, isn't it?
I'm not surprised. I'm close to the theory that there's no structural kind of organization on the sporting side point of view. He was really, really just focusing to make sure the commercial side arm is being survived over the years, to make sure improving the assets value, to making sure that the club has a certain value going forward from a real estate point of view, from a potential commercial side. You know, the valuation, of course, without doubt, they're trying to put it up as much as possible, you know. From a business point of view, I look at that now, you know. But from a sporting point of view, this is where the balance is very, very unequal. The business side is extremely well run, well valued, but the sporting side is completely on the other side, where anybody wants to buy this club, they will say, well, first of all, yes, we've got all the fantastic infrastructure, but do I need actually infrastructure? I better lease the infrastructure and I just get the club, the players. Because I have more value to improving, investing in the players and the infrastructure. So it's a question mark where these guys want to go. You know, in one stage, these owners, I'm assuming they want to sell it. You know, and I think this is the aim of why they're building up such an asset value / commercial arm within Spurs to sell it. But where do you want to? Who's going to buy it? If you know they're talking about around £3 billion. Pounds valuation, you know, many other clubs you can buy for a tenth of that or 20% of that when built up to the value of day. How much value you can put after 3 billion? That's a question mark. Whoever comes in and wants to buy 3 billion, the club, it has to have a very, very income generating business fixed. And sports entertainment is not fixed all the time, because one season you're down, you with the risk maybe go to the championship, and then that's it. The value goes down straight away. So who's going to buy it that level? That's the question mark.
Ramon, I'm still a little bit confused. Was that a yes or a no?
Did I try to avoid the question, mate?
We noticed.
Ramon's completely filibustered that question, isn't he? He's proper filibustered it.
Doing anything, kid.
Oh, gosh. Listen, compromise. Answer the question if you signed. If he signed, I'm answering him the question. Full blast. I will give you the honest opinion about it. If he's signing. If he's signing. Richard, he might sign. He'll be happy.
Wednesday, Ramon. Chris, get Ramon back on Wednesday. Do you know why I want Traore to come, don't you, Ramon? Because Nike have got to make a shirt that will fit him, which means it'll be one that fits me. That's why I can actually buy a Spurs shirt that will fit me. That's why I want Traore there. No other reason.
I want to see you with as much baby oil. That's what I want to see. I want you covered in as much baby oil as Traore. That's what I need in my life.
I think Ramon said yes. Ramon said yes, I think.
Yeah, he said yes.
Darren, let's come to you. Now, you seem to be a big fan of Traore. What would you say to the Tottenham Hotspur fans? Because there are a fair few that don't see this as a good potential signing. You know, how would you persuade them?
Right now, I think Majestic made a great point the last time you guys were on when he spoke about the Aaron Lennon effect. That kind of the person who runs and commits defenders. And not every ball he puts in is a bad ball. Like, let's be honest. But what he does is he makes your left back or your left-sided player worry about him constantly. They then change their game. They don't want to go forward as much. But what he also does is he takes players away from other players. When he plays for Wolves, they double up on him. Because then if they cancel him out, then the Wolves have a problem. You double up against him for us, who suddenly has space? Kane has more space. Son has more space. It creates a different dynamic to our play. Right now, Reguilon is looking like on the left. He's starting to develop into the wing-back role. He's starting to get it now. We can see things clicking. His pace down that side, Traore's pace down the other side, we're creating problems. But also, we're starting to give Conte the system that he wants. And if we start to move in that way, I'm going to be happy with that. Absolutely, I'm going to be happy. Spurs fans, we have to also understand something as well. What we can achieve in terms of players we can get, we've got to be a bit humble right now. Because there are players out there that don't want to come to us because we're not in Champions League position. We need to elevate ourselves in that way. We're competing with a different group of clubs right now. Traore is available to all of them, and he could improve everyone just outside the top four. We're just outside the top four. He wouldn't improve the top four, but he would improve outside the top four. So we're competing with him. Let's get him over the line. Then, if, as I say, my big point is if Conte wants him, I want him because I see a job he can do.
Just before we talk about Tottenham's February fixtures, I just wanted to ask you all a very quick question. Give me a very quick answer. How many players you think that Tottenham are going to sign from now until the end of the January window, and how many players will go out the door, including loan deals? Darren, let's start with you.
1 in, 2 out.
Richard?
3 out, 2 in. 3 out, 2 in.
Ramon, what are you thinking?
None.
He's gone. He's sleeping.
None?
No.
No, he said 7 in and a striker.
Oh, everything is going on.
He did it on purpose. He's standing on the Wi-Fi box. He did it on purpose.
Chris, have you got rid of Ramon Vega and got Daft Punk on instead?
Richard, this is very standard. This is a very standard show with Ramon Vega. This is why people enjoy him so much.
Why can I be living on a tiny island of 100,000 people off the coast of Africa and be getting this sort of like internet connection? I live in a little island in Africa, and like, you know, Ramon's in like the heart of Europe, and I've got this Wi-Fi. What's going on?
Well, Crackers, can you answer for Ramon?
Yeah, Ramon's just phoned and he said there's 5 in and 5 out. He said.
Yeah,
5.
2 strikers as well. 2 strikers.
Yeah, 2 strikers. One of which is Gregor Zraziak. He said that, and I've got the text to prove it.
Right. Well, I'm sure he'll be back in a second. Darren, let's come back to you. Very, very busy February for Spurs. We've got the FA Cup game against Brighton, and then we've got 4 Premier League games: Southampton and Wolves at home, and Manchester City and Leeds away. Out of those 4 Premier League games, out of a possible 12 points, how many do you think that Spurs will pick up? And will we go through to the next round of the FA Cup?
Being optimistic, taking Leicester, not this last game, into consideration and the energy that we put in, I want 9 points out of the 12 that we've got available, and I want us to go through. That's what I anticipate us doing. I believe those games are definitely winnable. I think the Man City game is the trickiest one we're going to face, and I think we should go through in the cup. So if we get 9, I'll take that.
Very optimistic. Rich, you agree?
I live that life. I live in the optimism.
Yeah. So we've got Wolves home, Chris. Yeah, is that correct?
We've got Southampton and Wolves at home, and then Manchester City and Leeds away in the league.
So they're both winnable. Leeds away is doable as well. So there's 9. And do you know what? We always play quite well against City. Like they play a system that allows us to actually play. So, and we don't seem to have this same mental block going to Man City that we do others. So listen, there's potentially 10, there's 12 points there, but 10's achievable. 10 is achievable. So we probably have more difficulties against like Wolves and Southampton, to be honest, with more difficult games in some respects, like because of the way they'll set up against us. But 9 or 10 points we can pull there quite easy if we're at it.
Yeah. If we're at it, yes. Ramon, are you back with us?
He just put a photo in front of the screen now.
Ramon's just turned into a non-fungible token now, isn't he? Just a picture of Ramon. Come on, opening bids for the Ramon Vega non-fungible token.
Actually, the NFT went through Wi-Fi. It's too strong for me, mate.
I'm going to set up a GoFundMe page for the Wi-Fi. I think that's what we're going to have.
I'll tell you what, man. It's unbelievable. I got everywhere Wi-Fi stuff, got all of the places. I don't know what's happening, mate. So what's the question? Somebody comes for a pint, White Hart Lane, this window? Is that what the question was?
Question is, Ramon, how many players will we sign from now until the end of the window, and how many players will go out the door?
I'll tell you what, Chris. You'll be lucky if any players come to watch the games at White Hart Lane this window. Leave alone signing anybody of these guys.
Come on, Ramon, give us all some good news. Tell us we're signing 7 players.
Yes. Oh, Chris, I don't know which planet you're leaving 7 players, mate. I'll tell you what, mate. You'll be dreaming.
Come on, make Richard smile again.
Oh, mate. Listen, the Wi-Fi's working. You're full on. That's perfect, mate. That's wonderful, mate. Good news. At least the Wi-Fi is working.
Now, Ramon, seriously, do you think that the Traore deal will get over the line, and do you think we will sign players in the next week?
I know. I tried to get your spirit up a little bit, Chris, and I'm disappointed today, you know? I can see you down.
Well, all I wanted an answer.
I know.
He's avoided this question so well.
I just waited the Wi-Fi is going away again, you know? I don't have to answer. I'll tell you what. Oh, goodness me.
Richard, good luck with the Ramon night, I tell you that.
Wi-Fi here.
Oh man!
I just created the Sputnik NFT, you know, for the Wi-Fi. It's working very well.
So, Ramon, are we signing any players?
What was the question again, Chris?
Are we signing any players? And are the likes of Ndombele going out the door?
I think, yeah. Listen, I think only about 2 will come into it. If only 2 go out. And the third one, you'll be happy to buy a pint at the White Hart Lane.
Right, I've got my answer. Ramon,
he might be lucky to wear a shirt if he has a pint down the lane.
Well, Ramon, the next question and the last question for you is Tottenham's next game. Of course, it's an international break. Tottenham's next game is in the FA Cup, Brighton at home. And then we've got 4 Premier League games during February, Southampton, Wolves at home, and Manchester City and Leeds away. How many of those games are Spurs winning?
Bloody hell, mate. With you, I do need a bottle of wine, mate. I'm telling you that now. This bloody question. How many games they're going to win? We just lost Mohammed. Oh, goodness me, mate. Oh, I'm cracking up, mate. Chris, it's Sunday evening. We do need something at on the night, mate. I tell you that, mate. Yeah, listen. Oh, we forgot the question, mate.
We all needed a laugh. And we got it. We all needed it, and we got it.
Oh, my days.
Goodness me. Why, Chris, I have to laugh so much on your show all the time?
Always.
The other ones are very serious, conservative, not even a smile with you. Goodness me, mate. Just laughing, mate.
I'm trying to be serious. I'm trying. And when you look at people on the screen now,
laughing when you're saying that. She's in the back with cracking. Thinks I'm trying to be serious, just cracking up. Just cracking up already.
Live on air. Mrs. Vega's giving him an absolute roasting live on air.
I wait for the hairdryer to fly.
Can you imagine winning a trophy? Goodness me, mate. We're gonna have a party here, mate. I'll tell you that now.
well, I hope this don't send you over the edge, Ramon. But do you think that Spurs will reach the top 4 at the end of the season?
Yeah. Oh, my wife, she's laughed. She's just laughing when you ask this question. Top 4.
I think we can say that's a no. What do you reckon?
Let me go comment, Dan.
Is that a yes or a no, Ramon?
Oh, mate. I'll tell you what, mate. Yeah, definitely top shirt sellers. Yeah, it's season. That's for certain. So we have money to buy in the summer window.
Darren,
is it really that funny that Spurs can finish in the top 4?
I didn't think it was until now. It's now hitting a sweet spot. But because of who's around us, there is still hope. There is still hope. We can still do it. Us, Man United, West Ham, Arsenal, it's there to be won. No one's put a real claim on it. It's there to be won. Ramos is getting abused. He's going to get beat up by his wife in a minute.
Crackers, I never ever thought I'd be laughing like this after a Chelsea defeat. Do you?
Oh man, I just want Ramon's wife to do the halftime team talks now when we're 1-0 down.
Yes, please.
And give it to the players. Sounds like Fergie at halftime when he's letting loose of the old teacups and boots into like Beckham's face, doesn't it?
I'm waiting for something to fly on the screen. I'm waiting for it.
Oh, she's cracking up, mate. I'll tell you what, mate. Oh, what a lovely Sunday night they're going to have.
Oh, mate.
Grace, don't get embarrassed.
To try and answer your question, Chris, it's up for grabs, isn't it? It really is. It is up for grabs. Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and then it's like whoever's the least worst of everybody else. Because Man United are bobbins, Arsenal are bobbins. We're up and down, aren't we? Like Ramon's backside this evening when he gets off of this stream. We're just up and down and up and down. It's so meant like so. If we can be the least worst of everybody else, then we can nick it. Yeah. So like it's doable. It is doable.
Yeah. Well,
Chris is spent. He's spent. But you're smiling, Chris. We achieved that. We achieved that.
Yeah, you did. Well, Crackers, Ramon and Darren, thank you so much for cheering me up tonight. Richard, before we go, tell everyone where they can find you and tell everyone all about your Legends Nights coming up.
All right, at Mr. Cracknell across the socials, at mrcracknell.com, and I'm going to be in Wales, in Worcester, in Leatherhead, in Chessington, Stevenage as well. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm also off to Ramon Vega's house to go and fit him a new Wi-Fi router.
Richard, you can make sure my wife is part of the going. I'll tell you what now on these events.
And I think I need to do a Legends Night with Mr. and Mrs. Vega as well. A couple of bottles of wine. Get the pair of them on stage and speak to them.
I'll tell you now, she's cracking up in the background.
But you know what I've been most impressed with is Ramon Vega has got more books behind him than any footballer has ever read ever, which is just incredible.
At least, God, Rich, mate. He's unbelievable, mate. Unbelievable.
That's not one of those wallpapers, is it, with like printed books on it, Ramon? Because footballers and books is like kryptonite and Superman, isn't it? Really, in the background,
honestly, books, footballers,
Only one person.
Leave around, have a sentence.
Only one person reads less books than footballers, and that's me, because I'm from Hackney. That's why it's like, just Hackney. There's no reading going on, is there? Anyway, Chris, been a lovely evening.
Darren, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Richard, mate. Richard, get some The Doors music in the background, mate. I love that picture in the background, mate.
Oh, gotta love the Doors, Ramon. Love a bit of the Doors.
Talking with the fire.
And Ramon, thank you so much.
Sunday night, why not? Give it a go, mate.
Darren, Ramon, what have you been up to at the moment, and what holds what will you be doing in the future?
Well, having a laugh with you, enjoy my wife.
What a closing statement.
And I will have the best night tonight as well. Great start for a Monday, mate. I'll tell you that now, Chris. I don't have to go far. It's next door.
Well, Crackers, Ramon and Darren, thank you so much for joining me this evening. Even though Tottenham Hotspur have lost, we've all had a good giggle this evening. Thank you so much for the three of you. We can all enjoy a 2-week international break now, and of course, all hope and wish and fingers crossed that Tottenham Hotspur deliver a few new players, and possibly a few players do go out the door. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched us.
Have a nice night. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
I think you are. If no one else is, you're in for a good night.
He's opened the door already.
Get your crash helmet on, Mrs. Vega. You're going through the headboard.
On that note, come on, you Spurs.
Go, you Spurs.
Listen, I'm gonna